Okay, so today is Sunday, 8th of June 2025, 10 a.m. It's going to be very hot today. It's already 28 degrees centigrade, 82 Fahrenheit, and it's going to get hotter later, probably up to the mid 30s centigrade. Now, it had been cooler last week, and I decided to sort out my pond a bit. As I described later, I thought it would be a simple, quick job, but that wasn't the case. So I've divided this video into part 1 and part 2, otherwise I'd probably get too long. This is my pond. I've made a few videos about it in the past. Last year in 2024, I'd hoped to turn it into my MEDAKA pond with over 100 MEDAKA. But as in one of my previous videos, last summer I had a disaster when some dragonfly larvae got into the pond and ate 90% of the MEDAKA while I was away on a long vacation. And since then, it's never really recovered as a MEDAKA pond. I've had a few small goldfish which are okay with MEDAKA, but also some small red platies which I'd kept in the pond in previous years to eat mosquitoes. And despite the cold winters, these platies had multiplied to become quite a large shoal. And as a shoal, they'd become quite aggressive and were bullying the few MEDAKA I still had in the pond. And the number of MEDAKA has been slowly decreasing recently. So now this year again, I want to make another attempt to turn it into a MEDAKA pond. So I thought it'd be necessary to remove most of the platies and at the same time tidy the pond a bit. However, I found it was impossible to catch any of the platies. Previously, I'd encouraged tree roots to grow in the pond to reduce the nitrates, and this worked very well, excellent at reducing nitrates. But whereas last year the roots filled maybe about 10% of the pond, in the last 12 months or so, they've now expanded to maybe fill 80% of the pond. And with all this that tangle of roots and plants, it wasn't possible to use a net to catch any fish at all. So what was supposed to be a limited sorting out of the pond has to be developed into a major total clear out if I want to turn it into a MEDAKA pond. And I've been doing this work bit by bit over the last few days. So the platies and goldfish have been removed to another tub. Also removed the big mass of tree roots which were in the pond. I mean, they're excellent for maintaining good water quality. They've grown so rapidly over the last 12 months that I don't want to work for having to sort them out every year in future. So I've taken them out, thrown them away. I could perhaps try and trim back the roots every year, but apart from the fact I don't really want to do the work, there's a risk of the sap from the roots would contaminate the pond where the roots have been cut. And plus, with that big mass of roots in there, there's no way of catching any fish if I wanted to in future. But what has also amazed me is the growth rate of this Anacarus and this Java moss. Well, 12 months ago, I just threw in about literally just 3 or 4 strands of this, and that is what I have got now. You know, that was, you know, all entangled up in the tree roots and was causing a big, yeah, a nice habitat for fly and whatever. But really, it's too big. And also the Java moss, again, literally just a very small amount, maybe about as small as that a year ago, 15 months ago, I put in the pond. Now, that's what I have. And if you put that in water and it spreads out, it's an enormous amount. So I'll have to decide later how much of this I put back in the pond if it's going to grow as fast as this in future. And I want it to function as a MEDAKA pond, with a lot of open water and room for the fish to swim about. And here is the pond, totally cleared out. Leave it maybe to dry for a couple of days if I can. I never found any dragonfly larvae or other predators, so hopefully if I leave it to dry out for a couple of days, if it doesn't rain, if there are any predators lurking in the in these folds in the liner, then they'll die off. Now this liner is over 30 years old. I think it has a slight leak somewhere, not sure where, but you know, it's still serviceable and I'm still happy with it. You can see the tree roots, no more tree roots, they've all gone. So while I got everything dismantled, I'm doing a quick renovation of the filtration system. Theoretically the pond should function okay without filtration, but I use a couple of simple basic systems which considerably reduces the risk of any disease or water quality problems. So here there are two large sponge filters. I haven't cleaned them out or anything for at least a couple of years. Don't really need two, but as I've got two, I put them in the pond. And also I use a trickle filter where the water is pumped up by a submersible pump. Later on, when I do part 2 of the video, I'll maybe show it in a bit more detail. But I'll just show the renovation work, simple stuff I've been doing with the trickle filter and the pump. Maybe I'll just show the trickle filter. It's an old glazed earthenware jar I found somewhere. Basically the water is pumped in there. The water then, we can see, flows up from the bottom of this pipe here, flows up here, up here, up here, and then flows out there. So basically the water comes in at the top, flows down to the bottom through the filter media, and then back up this riser pipe here, and then just cascades down into the pond. And for drilling holes, they're usually these sort of diamond tip. They're very cheap now, made in China. Diamond tipped drills. Very quick, very easy. Just use water to lubricate it. And for filter media, I use a lot of these pot scrubbers. Very good surface area for growing beneficial bacteria. A whole lot of those. Also have a lot of old ceramic rings which are thrown as well until I fill it up to the top. And also I have a bag of limestone chips. The water is very soft, so I put that in there and those limestone chips slowly dissolve and make the water harder and less likely to have a pH crash if the acidic rain, heavy rainfall, during very heavy rain, changes the pH in the pond. I'm going to fill up to the top here with all that media, and as I say, the water just cascades out through there. So I have a small submersible pump which pumps the water from the pond up into the trickle filter. They're both 12 volt because I got a 12 volt electric supply around my property from security cameras, so I just tap into that. But this one is really big, and this on average will give you about, I think, about 600 litres an hour, which is far too much. The flow for my purposes is far too much, makes too much of a current in the pond. So this one still 12 volts, and it gives an average of about 200 litres an hour, maybe 100 to 200, and that is just right for my trickle filter as far as I'm concerned. And then to stop the pump getting clogged up, I use a plastic food container like this, so that that goes inside, lock it all down, and I make all these holes in this container using an old soldering iron I have, just like that. Make all these holes, do it in the outdoors because of the fumes. So all these holes were made with this this old soldering iron. And having got all that together, I've got some insect cloth, mosquito netting, and I just wrap that around it very roughly like that, and then tie it all together. Yeah, not doing this very well, never mind. Then tie it all together using zip ties. So wrap it up completely and zip tie it all in one, to get all in one package, one parcel, and then it's good to go in the bottom of the pond. I've had something like this in the bottom of the pond for over a year the last time, and it still didn't get clogged up. Now, I forgot to say before I wrap it up in all that mosquito netting into a parcel, I'll fill up this container with ceramic rings. It stops the thing floating away. I'll put a few more in there. So it weighs it down, plus it acts as a very small filter with all the for growing beneficial bacteria right down the bottom of the pond. And so then I just wrap it up and zip tie it all together. So in this part 1 video, I've shown I've totally cleared out everything from the pond, dismantled and quickly renovated stuff where necessary, and now I've filled the pond up with water again and start to put it all back together. In part 2 of the video, I'll just show it all put back together and discuss how hopefully I can get it all functioning as a MEDAKA pond. Okay,